Tell me the moment when you realized that your workplace was toxic AF.
It was when my colleague got a promotion, and then instead of hiring someone else, they gave me all of her responsibilities and then didn't even give me a raise, even though I was taking on twice the work.
When my boss looked at us and said, "My staff is a bunch of morons." That was 1 week after I relocated my entire family for that job.
We bought a new building, and so we hired movers to move all our furniture from the one building to the other. The movers wouldn't move our one boss's desk without bubble wrapping it from like top, bottom, middle. They used so many rolls of bubble wrap, and we were charged a lot of money because there was all underneath his desk.
I no longer work at this company, but I walked in and the store manager's like, "Hey, no one's really cleaned the bathroom in a while. Could you clean it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't mind. I don't care, whatever." I cleaned it. I did a really good deep clean, like therapeutic deep clean. She looked in there and I kid you not, she just, "Yeah, it looks great." And then she turns around and she goes to my assisting manager. She goes, "See, I told you Mexicans are good at cleaning."
I remember I just had surgeries. I just had a shoulder surgery and I just had another surgery on my opposite hand. And I remember we were at a media day when my manager, my coach, my employer came up to me right in front of my face. And he said, "If you ever do X again, I'll make sure your other shoulder is broken too."
I realized my workplace was toxic when my 38-year-old supervisor with 7 kids was beefing with 19-year-olds, people my age at the time, over 19-year-old boys that she was sleeping with within the campaign. I'm talking, she was full-on threatening people, like, "You better not sleep with my man."
One particular Sunday, I'm driving to work and I'm rear-ended by a drunk driver. My car is totaled and the guy takes off. Happens, right? So there I am, car is completely messed up, can't drive at all, and I have to call into work at 4:30 in the morning or so. I call the store, tell my manager, "Hey, I was just hit by a drunk driver. I'm waiting for the cops to show up because they took off." This first question that he asked me after I said I was just hit by a drunk driver who took off was, "So, did you get someone to cover your shift?"
I never took my 1-hour lunch break out. I always had my lunch at my desk, always worked through lunch, addressing anything that came up. Once I left the office 10 minutes early, I got ripped a new one.
My daughter had just turned 2 at the time, and I was working at Starbucks. I was in between other jobs. We were at the park, and she had a medical emergency, which resulted in her literally dying in my arms. She was brought back to life by CPR that a stranger performed on her, and she was brought to Children's Hospital by an ambulance. And I called into work at Starbucks, and they said, "It's your responsibility to find coverage for your shift, and we need you back in tomorrow."
So starting out, we have a trigger warning, just warning you ahead of time. My boss was asking me questions about what I had scheduled for my particular client, and as I'm going through everything that I had scheduled coming up, she looks at me and in front of the whole team says, "Oh, if that's what I had scheduled, I would off myself."
We had a new supervisor, and this supervisor did not like me whatsoever. And me being a Muslim, I have to pray 5 times a day, and the times fluctuate. Sometimes it's not always on the same time. So I used to go in the back and pray, and she had an issue with that because, like I said, it wasn't consistent. And I wouldn't leave when we were busy or had a rush or whatever. And she just goes off on me in front of everyone, and I go back off on her. And I'm just like, "It's not my fault. You don't understand the way my religion works."
I'm gonna call this place Boo Boo Orange. Boo Boo Orange hires through temp agencies. Boo Boo Orange will keep temp workers on for as long as they possibly can and claim it's because they don't have it in their budget and they have to have a temp to hired on ratio in their warehouse. So I was kept on as a temp for a year, despite them making me Employee of the Month twice and making me train 30 people.
Our general manager abused us. Verbally and emotionally abused us. He would say horrible things to us and had a terrible temper with our guests. This was about 6 or 7 years ago, so I wasn't out as non-binary yet, so I was considered the only boy working in the store. She was especially hard on me, and she would justify this behavior to me by saying that I can handle the emotional stress that my female coworkers can't.
That would be when they asked me to manage without manager pay. I said yes because I'm dumb, just to later have them promote the girl that I trained to manager without telling me during a staff meeting.